Hey everyone. It's a drum beat you're going to hear me beat now and all through all of my podcasts. And that is safety, not only for yourself, but for people around you when you're taking photographs. So the last couple of times we talked about lighting. And it doesn't matter if you're using a reflector or an umbrella, or you have your flashes on a stand, or you have your lights on a stand, or you're using a tripod for your camera. If you are not next to it, make sure it can't fall over. Right? That would sound like, a no-brainer, right? Those lights are expensive. The umbrellas and some of the reflectors may not be, but you still don't want it falling over and possibly damaging the area where you're shooting, especially if it isn't your own area, right? You go to a hotel room, for example, and you're shooting a boudoir shot and the light falls over and damages the wall, you're on the hook for that. So even though you've got a broken light, you now may have to pay damages to the hotel. And it's not a good idea to have anything that could possibly fall over. That's why they make weighted bags and other accoutrements that you can put on these lighting tripods or even your film tripod. The camera tripod that I've got actually has a hook specifically designed that's at the bottom of it. I wouldn't trust it with much weight, but it would help keep that center of gravity there, right? In this case, it's a plastic hook because it's just an inexpensive tripod because I don't use tripods that often. But my light stands don't have something like that. They're big, they're heavy, they're metal. But if you'll notice, when they're locked out, they're pretty low to the ground, but they can go up. And you've got to make sure that you've got something in place down there. Now, what I like to use are sandbags. I think it's easy on cleanup should something happen and they open up and dump, right? It's just sand, so you don't have to worry about a powder or ball bearings or something like that you have to chase around. So all you have to worry about here is making sure that your stuff is not going to fall off the stand. So you're not going to put it on the leg where it's just going to slide down. You can put it around the bottom, right? You can put, in addition to weighting them, putting some cones and things out there so people know not to get too close, or if they do, they bump into that as opposed to the tripod, right? They make little plastic cones, and you could always put those down if you were concerned that somebody would come around a corner and not see your equipment before they walk into it, and put a couple out there for that purpose. But the goal here is to make sure that your stuff can't fall over. Now, you're never going to be able to get 100% that way. Tripods are three-legged devices. They would need to have 5 legs on them to be super stable, but they only have 3, which means they're still capable of being knocked over. But by having a weight on those counterpoints where they could tip up, it'll make it less likely for it to fall over. And if you're going to be using a boom mic, you already know that you have to have a whole bunch of ways of anchoring that so that they don't move. But as a photographer, that's not something we typically use. We may use a boom light, but usually when we're doing our photographs, a normal light stand, a normal stand for a background even needs to be anchored. But they're going to be pretty straightforward and easy for us to set up and anchor. And having sandbags means that you can just take all those sandbags, put them in a particular bag. It'll be heavy to carry, separate from your lighting because it's heavy to carry. But you can just take those out and use them as you need to. In addition, as I said, if they come open, they come open. And it's easy to clean that up and then just put the sand back in the bag. But having some form of anchor to make sure these things don't fall over is important. And I would recommend that you set them up in your home. Put it up exactly the way you would use it and weight it and then test it. right? You might want to take the light off of it when you're testing it, but in the real world, you're going to have the light on there. So if you can protect it so that if it does fall over, you're not going to hurt the light, then do it. Test out what it would take to knock that stand over. And if that is beyond what you're going to subject your light to, or you think your light could possibly be subjected to, then you're all set. You've got your setup. And if you're using an assistant, take a picture of it, right? So when the assistant comes through, they can just go through the list of items that you're using and say, okay, this is what I've got. I've got 2 bags front, 2 bags back, and 2 bags on the side here. And this is what worked for protecting this light. And that's how the light needs to be set up. And if you take a picture of it yourself, you also have a reminder for yourself what you need. And as you grow and add more things, you'll have a starting point to use the other things and know when you have to add more bags to your kit. But again, the goal is always going to be keeping yourself and keeping the client and the environment safe from any accidental damage. So that's what I got for you guys this week, and I will talk to you all next week.